Hello children, welcome back to the world of physics. So we are discussing about the second chapter, that is physical quantities and measurement. Okay, so let us have an introduction first. Let us have an introduction. So what actually is this measurement? Why these physical quantities are having so much of importance in our day-to-day life? Right. So actually, suppose you have a particular quantity, we have length, we have mass, we have time, we have volume, the density, right, and temperature. So these certain quantities cannot be suggested with an accurate value without having a particular measurement. Okay, so measurement is a must. Without measurement, it is not possible to suggest about the given quantity. You cannot tell what is the length of that particular object, what is the volume of that particular object. It is not possible to suggest about these physical quantities, right? So you are supposed to make a certain measurement. So measurement is actually done using a standard physical term. A standard body or a known body is there, or a standard unit is there. Standard unit or a known body, right? With the particular standard unit, you can suggest the measurement of that particular physical quantity, that is length, mass, time, temperature, etc. Right? So suppose, for example, you are interested in purchasing a 1 meter pipe, right? 1 meter pipe of half inch diameter. Okay, so you are interested in purchasing 1 meter pipe of half-inch diameter, right? Half-inch diameter. So you are buying this particular pipe of 1 meter length, 1 meter length, and having half-inch diameter for that, right? So this term inch and this term meter. So meter and this term inch is nothing but the unit. Is this clear? Right. These two are known to be the units. This is a numerical value, 1 is a numerical value, half is a numerical value. So this term, this is meter and this is inch. So meter, inch in this sentence are known to be the units. This 1 meter is nothing but the length, what I am suggesting, right? So this length and the diameter, these are nothing but the physical quantities. Okay, so physical quantities are supposed to be having a particular unit. You have to suggest the particular unit for those physical quantities. Okay, so when you go to the shop, suppose you do not tell this unit, you are not suggesting the unit to the particular shopkeeper. So you say one pipe of half diameter, one pipe of half diameter. What is this person supposed to give you, right? He will not understand what you actually want. So if you say 1 meter length of the pipe which is having half-inch diameter, then he understands that particular value and he gives you 1 meter pipe of half-inch diameter, right? Let us have another example. So for example, suppose you go to the kirana shop, right, and you actually are interested in purchasing 5 kg rice. You want actually 5 kg rice. Okay, right? So you are interested in purchasing 5 kg of rice. So what you do actually to when you go to the shopkeeper, you tell him I want 5 kg rice. So he weighs it, he makes it 5 kg and gives it back to you. Suppose you say you delete this kg and you just say give me 5 rice. Okay, you say give me 5 rice. Then what is the value he must give? 5 grams, 5 milligrams, 5 kg, 5 quintal, 5 ton. He doesn't understand which term you want, right? What is the actual value you want? So therefore, a physical quantity must be suggested with a unit. That means the physical quantity will have a numerical value, which is here 5. 5 is the numerical value followed by the unit. Here it is kg, right? So 5 kg, 5 is the numerical value, kg is the unit for that particular physical quantity. Okay, right? So the standard unit will be there, with the help of which we actually measure this 5 kg. Right. So our standard value will be actually 1 kg, right? If it is a mass, if it is a length, a meter is the standard value, 1 meter, right? So therefore, standard units will always be there, with the help of which we make measurements, that is multiples of those standard values. Suppose 1 meter is the actual standard unit, I want 5 meters. So 5 multiplied by this 1 meter, right? 5 into 1 meter gives me 5 meter. So it is just the multiplication of that standard value. If you want a lower value, you can go for division, right? Divide it by the standard value. So therefore, this is what actually we do with physical quantities. So now what are physical quantities? Physical quantities are the quantities which can be measured. So you can measure those physical quantities. Those quantities can be measured and hence are called physical quantities. Right? If you want 10 number of books, so in 10 number of books, you just say 10 books. Right? You go to the shop, you say 10 books. Unit is not needed in such cases. 10 is just a number, right? So it's just a numerical value and hence you don't, that is not a physical quantity. There is no measurement being done. You just count. So counting does not mean a measurement. Clear, right? Measurement is you have a standard unit and with that standard unit you make a particular measurement. So such measurements is done only for physical quantities and so these need measurement compulsorily, right? So in our day-to-day life, everything is done with measurement. So people have traveled to the moon. So without the actual calculation, actual measurement of the distance, that is length, between the earth and the place where you are supposed to travel, that is, say, let us consider moon. So actual distance has been measured, right? Actual distance, and the timing to travel is also measured. Mass, what actually we need when we travel, due to the friction, some of the mass means that body releases its parts. So due to that, what actually is being done? Mass, actual mass which has to travel is also calculated. So with the proper measurement of mass, length and time, the people are traveling to moon. Without the measurement, it is not possible to travel to the moon, right? So I hope you understand about the physical quantities and the measurement, the importance of these measurements, right? Yes. Yes. So in this chapter now, physical quantities and measurement. So we are going to discuss the measurement of these physical quantities. That is measurement of length, mass, time, temperature and area. Okay. So these are all known to be physical quantities only, right? Because we have to make a particular measurement, right? So let us first study the measurement of length. So what actually do you mean by the term length? That is important, right? We need to define that particular term, length. Without defining it, we cannot measure. We must know what actually this length means, isn't it? Right. So measurement of length is actually defined as the separation between 2 points in space. Okay, so suppose you have two chalks, two particles, 2 points. These are the 2 points. Okay, so the distance between these 2 points, right? The separation, you can say separation or you can also say distance, one and the same thing. So the separation between these 2 points, separation is this distance, right? So separation between these 2 points gives you the length of that particular object. Clear? Right. So length is nothing but it is defined as it is defined as the separation, right? The separation, or you can also use the word distance. Okay, so you can use any of the particular term. You can use separation or you can use distance for the particular term. So it is defined as the separation between 2 points, 2 points in space. Okay, so length is nothing but the separation between 2 points in space. Clear? Right. So you have, suppose you have 2 points here and here. Okay, these are the 2 points in space. So now what actually is the length? So this separation from here till here, you have to make a measurement. This separation between these 2 points is known to be the length of that particular object. Clear? Right. So, for example, suppose I want to measure the length of this particular chalk. So, length will become from this point, this is one of the point, and the top is another point. So, the separation between these 2 points is known to be the length. Clear? Right. So length actually is known to be a fundamental physical quantity. Length is the fundamental physical quantity, right? It can be measured using different devices, different instruments. Tools are there, different tools you can use for measurement, right? For example, you go to a tailor, what he does, what he does, he actually takes the measurement of the body, right? You give him the cloth for your, say, school uniform. Okay, for the school uniform you need cloth, you give it to the tailor. What he does, he takes the measurement of the body. Okay, so with that measurement he stitches the clothes for you. If suppose he does not take measurement and he stitches it anyhow he wants, would it be possible for you to wear that particular uniform? No, isn't it? Right. So we must give a particular measurement of our body so that he can stitch the uniform according to our body. Clear? So therefore measurement is done for length using particular devices. For example, suppose you want to measure a length of the line. You want to measure the length of this particular line. So here is the straight line, right? The straight line is there and you want to measure the length. What you actually do, you take a scale. You use a scale, right? Scale is taken. Suppose you want to draw a line, you use a scale. So, ruler, that scale is known to be a ruler. Okay. So, rulers are used, right? And you also have some metric rods, meter rods. Okay. Meter rods are used, right? Longer distances, meter rods are used. Smaller distances, rulers are used, and still more smaller distances, for those different tools are there like vernier calipers. Still more smaller, you have screw gauge, right? So screw gauge, you can measure very small measurements in the unit of millimeters, right? Screw gauge is a device used in measurements of millimeter size, right? Vernier calipers in measurements of centimeter size, and much more higher we make use of rulers. Much more higher than rulers is tapes, measuring tapes. Clear? Measuring tapes are there. So, measuring tapes, like the tailor uses a flexible measuring tape. Civil engineers, those who construct the buildings, they make use of steel measuring tapes. Clear? Right? So, different instruments are used for measuring the length of a particular object. Is this clear? Right. Okay. So we have the measuring devices. So why actually these measuring devices play an important role? So actually when you are measuring the length of a particular body, right? You are measuring the length of a particular body or object. So in that case, it is necessary to choose the prescribed device. The measuring device is a must. Okay, you cannot measure one using one device for a large object, a small device for a large object. Right. For example, let us consider you are measuring the length of this particular hall. Okay, from that wall to this wall. Suppose you are marking your size of the building, your house. Okay, for example. So you are actually measuring the length of the house from one wall to another wall. And suppose you start using a 15 centimeter scale, which actually you get it in your geometric box, right? Geometry box, you have a 15 centimeter scale. Is this clear? Right. So 15 centimeter scale, do you use to measure the distance between the walls? It's not possible, right? You can, but what is the use of using such a device for such a measurement? It's totally useless, right? So therefore, you have to choose a specific device for a particular measurement of the length of a particular object. Clear? Right. So therefore, measuring devices are compulsory for measurements. You cannot use any device for any measurement. Clear? Even if all the devices are mentioned for length only. All the devices which we speak now are going to be for length only. But for different length of objects, different devices are constructed. Right? Is this clear? Okay. So, in the measuring devices, we actually use a scale 15 centimeter long for measuring the line segment. Line segment means you have a particular line. Okay. So, this is the line. Is this clear? Right. For measuring this length of the line, you actually make use of a small scale, that is 15 centimeter long scale. Yes or no? Right. If you have a line, say this much long, this doesn't fit in the 15 centimeter scale. So instead of using a 15 centimeter scale, you can go for a meter scale. Right. So instead of using a 15 centimeter scale, this is a 15 centimeter scale you are using. If the line segment is much more larger, 15 centimeter is not sufficient for this line, right? So therefore you can use a meter scale. Both are used for measuring lengths, isn't it? This is just 15 centimeter, this is 1 meter. So both are lengths, but the device you are going to use must be prescribed. Clear? Right. So suppose you go to the tailor. You go to the tailor. So when you go to the tailor, it's not possible for the tailor to use a scale. How can you measure the dimension of the body using a ruler, scale? Is it possible? If he holds the scale like this, it's not possible to measure the dimension of the body. So therefore he makes use of a different device to measure the dimensions of the body. Clear? Right. So he makes use of actually a flexible measuring tape. Tailors make use of a flexible measuring tape to measure the dimensions of a human being, body, right? Human being. And civil engineers, they carpenters, civil engineers, these all, they make use of stiff metals tape, right? Stiff steel tape. It's also a measuring tape, but it is actually very stiff. It's not flexible as is for a tailor. Why tailor needs a flexible tape? Because he has to bend it every now and then. It must bend. If you have a stiff tape, it is not bending, right? And you cannot measure the actual dimension of the body. So therefore, the tailor makes use of a measuring tape which is flexible. It's not stiff. Stiff means very hard. It doesn't bend. Okay. Civil engineers, carpenters, they make use of stiff measuring tape so that it maintains that stiffness, it doesn't bend anywhere, and he can get a proper measurement of that particular object, right? So those measuring tapes are actually used for larger distances. Clear? Okay, so let us now discuss about the different measuring devices for length. So now we are going to consider the measuring with a ruler, right? Ruler. So in your house, in the geometry box, you have a ruler, a scale of 15 centimeter length, right? 15 centimeter. In my hand, I have a ruler of 30 centimeter length. You can observe here it's written from 1 till 30, right? So it is a 30 centimeter long ruler, okay, made of metal, right? Made of metal. Your scale is actually made of glass, right? Glass or fiber, okay. So different measuring devices are there, okay. So these rulers actually are used for measuring, and units are mentioned at the edges for measurement. If you want to measure using these rulers, that means you need to measure from the edges. Units are mentioned there, right? Here there is another scale, and down there is a different scale for measurement, right? That is, different units are mentioned. You can observe your scale, that is, on one side, on one edge, centimeter marking is there. On the other edge, if you see like this, it is inch marking, right? These are actually, the down scale is actually in inches, right? So you can just observe it is written in inches. Actually, it's not written here. Let it be. In your scale, it may be mentioned inches. Clear? Right. So, different distances must be measured with the prescribed unit only. Right. So, therefore, here, suppose you are interested in using this ruler for making a measurement. So, before measuring with the ruler, what actually you must consider? You must have a knowledge about what these ticks, that is, these lines indicate. Without the understanding of the lines, you cannot measure, right? If I do not know this distance, it's written actually 1 2 3 4 and so on is written. If I do not know what that measurement 1, that means it is only a numerical value, but what actually 1 is having a unit, that unit if I do not know, then it is totally waste, right? It is of no use. So therefore we must know what these lines actually indicate. So let us first consider the inches, the bottom scale, okay, the bottom markings. So here 1 is written, right? 1 is written, and here I have 2, okay. So you can just see those ticks, they are actually larger in size, they are longer, okay. 1 2, those lines are longer. So these longer lines indicate a whole number, that is 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch and so on. So these longer ticks are mentioned for a whole number value, right? 1 2 3 and so on. Clear? Right. And in between those in between two values, that is, let us consider 1 and 2. In between those two, a larger line again is there, which is actually less larger than these lines. Okay, so this is actually at the center of 1 and 2, right? So we have this known to be the half inch value, that is known to be half inch. Okay, so we must actually know the meaning of that line, right? So therefore this is 1, right? 1 is written, then at exactly center of 1 and 2 we have 1.5 inch, that is 1.5 inch. Okay, 1.5 inch or known to be 1.5 inch. Then we have a marking 2, right? We have reached 2 inch. After that again half we have, so it is 2.5 inch. Again 3 inch, 3.5, 4 inches and so on. So when you are making a measurement using the inch scale, you must know the tick mark what is mentioned for. Okay, right. Similarly, let us consider the centimeter scale. Centimeter scale. So in centimeters, actually they are different. Centimeter and inches are actually having different measurements. Clear? Right. Actually we have a value 2.54 centimeters. 2.54 centimeters make 1 inch. So 1 inch is considering 2.54 centimeters in it. Okay, so therefore we cannot measure inches in centimeters or centimeters in inches. We can convert them. Okay, but we cannot say we actually are measuring in terms of inch. Suppose you have taken the measurement in terms of inch, you have got the value 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch is the measurement you have made, and suppose you are writing 1 centimeter, then this is totally wrong. So therefore the unit must be prescribed. What unit of measurement you have considered, that must be known. Okay, right. So in centimeters again, let us consider that for the centimeters. So here 1 is written and 2 is written. So let us all have our scales in our hands. So you just take the scale in your hand and start observing now. Okay, so 1 is written and 2 is written. So just count the number of divisions from 1 to 2. That is, we actually have, this is 1, this is 1, okay, 1, and there are small divisions, and we have this line which is larger but not larger than this line. Okay, then again let us start this, and we have the larger one, this is 2. Is this clear? Right. So you can all observe from 1 to 2 we have these markings. Okay. These actually, you when measuring you must know the term line and division. Line, suppose here if I start counting the number of lines from 1 to 2, count the number of lines from 1 to 2, then number of lines indicates there is no zero for that. Zero is not there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So in 1 centimeter we have 11 lines, but actually always you have to count the number of divisions. Divisions is a must. So number of divisions, if you are supposed to count in this 1 to 2 centimeters, right? So number of divisions, this becomes 0 because starting point is taken to be 0. Then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So 10 divisions are there, 10 divisions 10 divisions in 1 centimeter distance. Okay, so in your scale also you just check what I have written here. So in 1 centimeter we have 10 divisions, right? Okay, so what these 10 divisions are actually, they are known to be the millimeters. They are known to be millimeters. This distance from 1 to 2, this is actually centimeter. So always remember, in 1 centimeter distance we have 10 millimeters. Okay, 10 divisions, and those divisions are known to be millimeters. Clear? Right. So you must be able to measure with the ruler however you want. Clear? Right. Okay, children, so let us end this session by a small homework. So we have the homework: name the different physical quantities, okay, and define the length and mention the different devices used for measuring length of different objects. We have different measuring devices as discussed, and you have to name them. Okay, thank you very much.